In this screencast, we're going to explain the relationships of the curves on the externality graphs. We're also going to explain why a market failure exists with an externality. So we've got a graph here, and it's asking you to identify the type of market failure and explain. We can see we've got an MPB that equals the MSB, and then we have an MPC here and an MSC up here. And so because the MSC is not equal to the MPC, we know that this is a negative externality. So let's put that negative externality title up there. Okay, so we've identified the type of market failure. Now we need to explain why this is a market failure. There's a couple ways that you can do this. The first one is to talk about the relationship of the curves. So when we talk about the market failure, the problem here is that the MSC is greater than the MPC. There are social costs that are placed on people who did not consume this product. And so therefore, you have an MSC that is greater than the MPC. You could also say that the MSC is above the MPC. That's another way to say it. What you cannot say is you cannot say the MPC shifts to the left for the MSC. It's not a shifting. These are just two different cost curves. One's taking into account the private costs. The other is taking into account the external costs that are placed. Another curve relationship that is not acceptable is that you cannot say that the MSC is greater than the MSB. That's not the market failure. The market failure is that the social costs are greater than the private costs. The other way that you could explain this market failure is to talk about allocative efficiency and how they're not at the allocatively efficient amount. You need to explain, though, the relationship of that. Instead of just stating, they don't produce at allocative efficiency, you need to indicate that the equilibrium quantity is greater than the socially optimal quantity. Or you could say the equilibrium quantity is greater than the allocatively efficient quantity. Either one would be acceptable for that. Okay, so if given the same type of question, but with a graph that looks like this, when we're looking at this here, now the MPC equals the MSC, so our problem is that we have an MPB here that is below the MSB. So when it asks us to identify the type of market failure, we've got a positive externality. And then for our explaining, again, we're utilizing the relationship of the same curves here when we talk about the benefit curves. The marginal social benefit is greater than the marginal private benefit. People who do not consume this product will benefit from it because of those that do. So you can say it's greater than for that. You can't say that it shifts to the right because that is not allowed. You can say the MSB is above the MPB. That would be acceptable. And then again, when we talk about the relationship with allocative efficiency, we can say here that the equilibrium quantity is less than the socially optimal quantity.